What's up, men? Welcome to the Male Cartel podcast. Let's get started.
Do you think men are important? Like for what?
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive.
Life's too short to exercise. I'm just going to be honest.
It's okay to be fat.
Dispelling toxic masculinity and really redefining what it means to be a man. Men can cry. So it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be weak.
I'm telling you right now, not everybody wants to see you win.
You seem to be more woman than you are man. You don't have any manly qualities.
You give them this message that it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay, it's necessary. How are we going to do without men? You look around the city here, you see all these buildings go up, these men, they're doing impossible things.
It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Be a dangerous man. Being dangerous is not being a threat. They're two different things. You can't be a good man if you're not a dangerous man. You say one disrespectful thing to my wife, I am not only willing, but I'm able to inflict great bodily damage.
I'm going to do everything in my power to become a victor and not a victim. I can't explain it, but you better feel me. Winners win and losers lose. I can't explain it any better than that. I don't know how it happens, but winners win. And if you create a culture of losing, if you keep being a victim, if you keep letting losing happen to you, if you keep letting people do you and treat you any kind of way, it's going to become a culture. What's the matter with you? There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Here's your host, Nick and Shane.
Hey, what's up, Male Cartel? We back. This is Shane.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm looking at my good buddy Nick. That's my good buddy Nick. Those who are just now tuning in, you might have found this on the Apples, the Spotify, or the YouTubes. And no, we are Male Cartel, and
all the places on the line.
Is on the line. Nick, what is up? What's happening, bro?
Man, there's been a lot going on. It seems like this last 2 weeks since we recorded our last episode has just been forever.
100%.
Kind of missed, being with you and discussing things. But yeah, it's just been a crazy season. Having to hire a new staff member, my administrative assistant, is having to step out for family issues, and so having to do the interview stuff, and that's never fun because people don't want to work these days. They don't want to show up to interviews. Yeah. Don't want to be professional and just say I can't make it to an interview. So it's fun, but
preach.
Busy. That's right.
Preach. I think everybody has seen that.
You were involved. You had a winter thing or winter conference. Was it?
Speaking of ministry assistant, just hired one in January 1st. Man. So we just got one. I
just missed her.
It took forever to hire one.
I don't have
3
forever.
Months.
I'm gonna have to settle.
So we just like stumbled into it late December. So but we had a winter conference, about 500 people on our campus, student ministry or next gen. And so extremely tired, man. Honestly, last week was a very tiring week. It's almost like, camp, where you get to end the day at camp on day 3 and you're at night and you realize, man, you're tired.
Yeah.
And but the reason you can keep going is that that the next day is the last full day of camp. Usually that's how it works.
How many days was it? 2 days?
It was a Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
But
it felt like a week.
It felt like a whole week. But then the whole week leading into it, you're prepping for last minute things, walkthroughs, etc. And then you have youth on Wednesday. So you still in all your meetings on the rest of the time, and then we were dealing with maybe a potential pivot for that Friday because of the weather.
Oh yeah.
And so. It was a lot. I think my brain, I don't have much up there. So whatever was up there was done. It was done. I have that 4-cylinder brain. So,
well, I mean, that's a tough deal to pull off anyway after the holidays, because in the church world, Christmas is busy. And so you've got all of what you're doing there. And then on the tail end of that, coming into the new year, and bam, you've got a 2-day retreat conference.
Yeah.
So.
And then 2 weeks from now, we go to a winter retreat, which is kind of like our campus's big thing for our next gen.
And then you've got a big D Now or something?
Yeah, in February, and then at the end of February in Statesboro, it's like a bunch of churches get together, and then they host it at the large church there in Statesboro, and then I come in and speak Friday and Saturday, and then the next month in March I have another speaking engagement. So
all that
pretty busy.
A full-time pastor, parent, husband. Bet you make it all happen.
Yeah, we do. You got to be really good at prioritizing things, and then early mornings, so work out, so do all that, and just gotta be calculated. You just can't be too loose. Got a lot riding on, And,
when you've got, you've got 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, whatever. I mean, you can fit a lot into it if you prioritize 100%. And make it happen, and just focus on the work and not just go hang out, scroll online and, kill the time.
Yeah. And, and there's times definitely, this, and those who are listening know it too. Like, you got to have your times where you rest.
Right.
So you got to have whatever that looks like for you. Some people, I find rest fishing or doing things outside, which for some people it's not really resting, but that's where I kind of get recharged. You got to just know yourself and know who you are. But I think a lot of people just don't. I mean, honestly, just speaking from just so many counseling times where people want to have a conversation about their life and want to get some wisdom. And I'm just some dude from South Augusta. So, me, and those who listen, I'm not a super smart guy. I don't have any of those, but what I can do is just tell you that, you need to be calculated and prioritize a lot of things. And then even when you don't want to do it, just handle your business, do what you're supposed to do. And
but I think that's important.
Know who you are. Yeah.
Because people will look, and we've used videos from Jordan Peterson and talk about Dave Goggins and all these guys that you see the reels, and they've gotten fame online because of how the internet works, and they may have had fame before that, but a lot of people will look and go, well, I'm not that person, and act like they've got some kind of magical schedule or whatever that might be. I saw somebody comment about one of the social media influencers, got a great podcast, and talking about how, this person's able to do this because he pays somebody so much per month, and, almost discounting the work that goes into what they do. But they started out as normal people just like us.
Yeah.
Some of them have gone to the place of even being homeless, losing everything, and yet has found success through hard work and dedication. And so I think that's important, not to discount yourself, while we can be, we can be, have humility, which we should, to go, I'm a nobody from South Augusta, Blythe, Georgia, whatever. But the reality is, anyone can be, can prioritize their time. They can, focus on their fitness. They can work hard and achieve a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be your primary focus. As a full-time pastor, parent, husband, so on and so forth, you accomplish a lot outside of that because of just simply going, all right, I'm going to schedule my time. I'm going to prioritize what's important. And then you can accomplish a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if you're playing, I'm not bashing video games and stuff like that, but if that is your life, or just going and having coffee or hanging out and eating lunch, or, staying on the internet or whatever that might be, that eats away your time. You're not going to be able to accomplish as much.
Well, dude, I think about you. I mean, honestly, I was thinking about just the other day when, matter of fact, it was when we left. It was, I guess, the last podcast, last episode 1 was season 2 was your truck messed up. And then I was just thinking, we rode together. And I was just thinking how your car's messed up. You're still going to go to work. You still have to figure that out. You have a family. You still have responsibility. You still have a sermon to prep for Sunday. There's a lot of things, and then I saw the picture of your truck's back. But if anybody knows anything, when you don't have a ride, there's a major inconvenience, especially if you're so used to like driving in your own car. When I'm down one car, like, it's just, wow. I mean, you're just at everybody else's, at their mercy pretty much.
Right.
And you just feel...
That's why we were riding together.
I know. You feel off, dude. And so I think that but it didn't stop you. But I've known many people and have worked with people too who, when their car's messed up, man, they just blame the car. They're like, it's like every day they're gonna find something to blame why they can't do the job, and then they piggyback and go how terrible their week was because of their car, and it's like they try to justify. They found I can point all the blame to that, when really it's like, man, you still got to figure that stuff out, So a lot of people,
that's what I think. A lot of people look for the easiest excuse.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good word.
Because we don't like discomfort and we don't like to do hard work naturally.
Yeah.
And so any excuse is like, oh, well, I don't have to do this.
That's right. Did you work out this morning?
I did.
What time did you go?
3 a.m. I got up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I was there by about 3:32.
Man, it was cold, bro.
It was in the 20s. It was cold. But talking about the gym, I hadn't gone since probably last Friday.
Okay.
Saturday morning. And I think because I was carrying some heavy boxes here at the church, doing some janitorial supplies that I had to carry into the building. And I don't know if I lifted wrong, whatever, but by the time that was about a week ago, so I don't know, it could have been something in between there. Saturday morning, I got up probably about 2:30, had to use a restroom. I stepped out of bed and almost collapsed to the floor. Like there was such a sharp pain in my back. I mean, I could feel it in my abdomen. It went down into my legs. I don't know if it was like a pinched nerve.
It sounds like herniated disc or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So, and I had to go to the restroom. And so even standing there was just hard. Just so much pain. So went and laid back down. And then when it was kind of time to get up, we had to go do some things. The thought crossed my mind, I can't do this. And then immediately I refuted that. I'm thinking about people who will use the easiest excuse, and the smallest bit of pain stops them from doing anything. I said, no, I can do this. And my mind went to the gym and how that has literally trained me, because when you go work out and you train, you're working against the odds. Like you want to lift heavy things. You want to exert yourself. And so I think that has helped me, because instead of laying there all day going, oh, I can't get up, my back's hurting, I had to fight through it. I had to just work through it. Came and put the baptism up by myself, a big water trough. Well, I just knocked our sign down.
Yes,
I have to turn it off now.
All the weight.
I was going to talk about that, but I think that helps you, because you're used to that delayed gratification. You're used to working through hard things, and so today it was better for the first time. I had to force myself to rest, because I didn't want to, because I didn't want to miss the gym.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it wasn't just like I'm sore. It was literally, if you've been certain ways, it's a sharp pain shooting through your body. So I didn't want to injure myself more. But just talking about those easy excuses, I was on the brink of like being that very guy.
Yeah, that's right, dude. I feel it, man. I mean, shoot, this morning I didn't want to even get up, and I mean, I was out the door by 6:30, but I didn't even want to get up this morning. I don't know why. I just think maybe it was from a long week. And Monday, matter of fact, it was MLK Day. We were off, and so I found myself in the middle of the day, took like a 15-minute nap, fell asleep, and I felt my head. I just dozed off 15 minutes and got up strong. Then everything got simmered down. My boys was playing. My family's kind of out and about running different errands or whatever. And I'm sitting up in the chair, and dude, I fell asleep again, literally for another. I felt like a grandpa, and it was about another 15 minutes. And I had my cover all snuggled up, and then I had to get up and like get ready for the food. My wife came, and she goes, "Are you sleeping again? Are you sick?" And because that's never me, And then she's, "Are you sick? Are you?" They thought, because one of my sons were not feeling good and was laying around sickly, and I was like, "No. I don't know what's happened. I was just grinding, I mean, I lift weights, I trained. I mean, I increased my miles because I had the other week it was down a little bit more. And then Saturday, it's all day. I mean, it's just a gauntlet of a day. And the night before, it's a gauntlet of a day. I mean, it's just a straight, like 9 days of just getting after it. And then, but I was at Walmart before 6, picking up all the supplies on Saturday.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. Way before everything's
senior shopping.
Senior shopping. I mean, I'm out there with the sneaker club, silver sneakers, the New Balance.
The New Balance club.
And I was out there doing my thing, and because I knew I needed to get the stuff, and then the Y didn't open until 7. So I was out the door at 5 something, there at 6 o'clock sharp, loading up buggies full of water and everything else, everything that we need, last minute things, and then loaded my truck, and I got to the gym, and it was like 6:55, and I just waited until I saw that light turn on, and I went inside and worked out. I just did 30 minutes of this cardio stuff, and then I worked out like a beast, went crazy, and then walked out at 8 o'clock sharp, and then
went home and took 2 naps.
No, went straight to the church because we had everybody's rolling at 8:30 for breakfast.
Gotcha.
So my team was already there, and so everything was already set up before we left. So really, there was nothing for us to do. But I needed to unload the vehicle because I had tons of supplies, and so but I got that in, and I just think. And then Sunday, I didn't mention it. The Y opened up Sunday afternoon for working out in the gym for like 3 hours, middle afternoon. They've never done that before. And so I had a crazy morning and afternoon, and my brain just, you know how it is, dealing with people and having conversation. And I just felt like I could not process literally any information. I'm not speaking that or anything like that. I got some things I need to do, but we had high school, we'd meet on Sunday nights. I couldn't even process back-to-back conversations that I had with people and things that I really needed to get done. My brain was fried. Like I really didn't have anything left to offer. And I usually don't get to that spot, but it was just one thing after another, spontaneous things that are kind of thrown on you, and you're having to make decisions, and you're having to have a big old conversation, things you didn't plan for, like, hey, I need to talk to you. And you're like, okay. And you're like, when you have another conversation, it was just a lot for my brain to comprehend. And I was like, I got to go. So I didn't eat lunch. I just left, and I had 1 hour I could spend. So I went straight there, and I did 45 minutes of cardio, different equipment, just straight running, and then walked an elliptical. And then I did push-ups and pull-ups, as many I can do in a 5-minute period, and then how many push-ups I can do in a 5-minute period. And that was it. I just left. No weights. I didn't lift anything. It was just that. But I felt literally, dude, I felt like $1 million when I came back. I was tired. My body was done. But my brain, it clicked. My brain was like, let's go. It was operation. Now my body was completely depleted. But my brain was like, all right, then. We're ready like Freddie now. And so I think that's probably why come Monday, man.
Yeah, it was Monday you had 2 naps.
Monday I had 2 15-minute naps.
Hey, guys, those that are over 50, if y'all could, because Shane's pushing 50.
That's right.
Producer Carell is 54. If y'all could send him just some helpful tips on what to do to keep his mind fresh once he crosses that threshold of 50.
That's right.
Beyond the gym, because if the gym weren't open, what would he have done? So what is it? Do you drink V8 juice? What is
milk.
it that you keep?
Warm milk, bro.
Warm milk.
That's something.
Hot tea. What is it that you use to keep your mind fresh?
Dude, hey, what's show us some new stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We've got a couple of props and really a shout out to one of our Male Cartel. One, we've got some props here. I got a little sign. I had to turn it off. It'll glow multiple colors without the remote once it goes off. So I knocked it down, and that's what happened. But that's just so we can update it, showing our episode. Male Cartel, little signboard. Then Shane, if we switch the camera over there, got a buggy. Yeah, Kelly got me that one. My sister, the one that eats roaches, she does not remember that. We had around Christmas, we had a long conversation about just how vividly I remember things, and she couldn't remember that part. And I said, I know exactly where you were standing.
It was trauma, man.
Yeah, and then also a little tumbler there.
Boom.
We're getting a little swag, logo stuff. My wife put out some feelers to get some prices on some Male Cartel hoodies that we'll be offering soon for anybody that may be interested in.
People always asking me, Well, I don't know about you, but people always ask for some merch.
Yep.
And so I think
Speaking of merch, our studio smells great. I want Shane to introduce it, but it smells manly in here today.
Yep. White Buffalo. I have a friend of mine. We've mentioned him several times on Male Cartel. Jacob Dorn, and a good buddy of mine named Jacob, and he's a good buddy of ours now. And so he come up with some beard oil, which that's what Nick is holding. And
yep, that's the beard oil because I have a beard.
Cologne. And I don't have a beard, so I didn't get the beard oil. But
he's got a little peach fuzz, but I don't think the oil's coming.
Yeah, I'm going to hit puberty at some point. When I hit 50, I'll get puberty. But if you want to smell like a man, this is what a manhood smells like.
Great White Buffalo, not associated with the Buffalo Man on YouTube. You can check that out if you've never done so. This is Frost by the Fire.
Yep.
Smells very manly. Jacob Dorn is on Facebook. So
that's right.
If you're interested, search his name or reach out to Shane and myself. We can get you in touch with it, and you too can smell very manly.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, dude. Would you, I mean, like, think about it. You know, like I know. Remember back in the day when that girl in your classroom came in and she smelled like cucumber melon? Remember that? Because you put that lotion on her.
Yeah,
Bath and Body Works.
Cucumber.
It was like cucumber melon or something.
That was the lotion.
Wasn't it?
And they probably had body spray too, but yes, it was.
That's right. And so you knew that was when I smell that, I distinctly think that's a female.
Yes.
Oh, no matter who it is, it's a female. I promise you, you put this cologne on, you're a man.
It smells nothing like cucumber melon.
It does not smell like cucumber melon. It's like you better go chop some wood, bro.
Protect yourself. Don't let your wife rub off on you. Get you
That's
some
right.
Frost by the Fire. Great White Buffalo.
That's it.
And all good men should have a beard. And so get you some beard oil.
Let's go.
And keep it shiny.
Today, I think we have something we want to talk about. I think it'll be very beneficial. And so this is what I was doing. So I actually had some time. You mentioned scrolling. So I was scrolling and looking up just men things, okay? And
I call that research.
Research. Okay, yeah, research. We'll say research. And so I was doing some research, and I actually got lost a bunch down some rabbit holes and stuff. I mean, it was really good stuff. And just how, we all think that we can fight, defeat a bear, and all kinds of stuff like that. And that like 18% of all men think that they can defeat a king cobra. And I thought it was pretty interesting. And we've mentioned animals and things before. And so I landed on an article that was written in 2018. And then it actually, what pointed me to it was an article that was written in 2023, matter of fact.
Okay.
And so this is the article, and the title was The Top 12 Issues Men Face Today. And so it was reposted for this year on a website. And so I was like, man, this was good enough for somebody to post again. And so I just felt like it was unique. And so you and I both obviously we're talking about this. And so are you cool with us discussing this thing, Nicholas?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you should do is read what the article says. Like we'll do a few. We're going to make this a multi-part because this is interesting. I do want to read this part before you read it. It is by the Good Men Project, which on the surface, you would go, oh, Good Men Project. It sounds good.
That's
Branding has a lot to do with it. But this is what the little subheader says, and then Shane's going to read the first one. It says, men's roles are changing almost faster than we can keep up with the change. Interesting. Do men's roles change? But this is what the article says. Here are 12 reasons the conversation about men is so incredibly important. So we're just going to cover a few today, and then in future episodes, we're going to cover the rest because we think these are worth discussing. So, Shane?
All right, here we go. Number 1, and we'll discuss this. It says unrealistic and stereotypical portrayals of men in the media and the culture. And I'm just going to read what it says. It says, tired of seeing dumb and deadbeat dads, sick of every man on TV being a sex-obsessed womanizer, so are men. Men are often seen as incompetent, I don't even know how to say that word.
Misogynistic.
That's it, dude. That's like Spanish or something. So Brutus Slavs who only think about sex, beer, and sports and have few other redeeming qualities. On the other end of the spectrum, however, is the superhero, the man who is financially successful, in perfect shape, rich, handsome, brilliant, athletic, the gold standard, and an almost impossible ideal. These two extremes are two of the false choices of manhood. Society constantly asks men to choose between being sensitive ninnies or hyper-aggressive bullies, financial providers for their families or absentee fathers, men of the house, or they are whipped. So the man box begins. The way in which being a man is acceptable by our culture is narrow, limiting. Is narrow and limiting. When are the portrayals of the manly men who are complex, kind, communicative, nurturing, the men who are able to be both warriors and poets as needed, able to love deeply and for the long term with multi-dimensional abilities about a whole host of things? Oh, hey, that's almost every guy we know at the Good Men Project. Yeah. So that was the entire number one. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's funny because it says, or essentially the unrealistic and stereotypical portrayals of men, and yet I feel like there are some points that they definitely are right on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's talking about, and it gets into essentially how their thoughts of what men should be. And I find it interesting that it is just written by the editors. It's provided by the editors.
Yeah.
So we don't know who's writing this, but it says, it's given like as if it's two extremes.
Yeah.
And I kind of pointed this out before. The man who is financially successful, in perfect shape, rich, handsome, brilliant, athletic, the gold standard, and an almost impossible ideal. Well, I don't think that's an impossible ideal. Rich, that's subjective. Financially successful, I think anybody that's in the United States is probably financially successful. Even the poor here have much more than those around the world. Right. And so to even say that, basically that's the superhero is wrong, because everything that I see there is a man that puts forth effort towards whatever that might be. You can start as a garbage collector, but work your way up to the CEO of the company. So financially successful, that doesn't just happen to people. And so to make that as if it's an extreme is really kind of, I think, extreme. Handsome, brilliant, athletic, a lot of those, like handsome, that is subjective once again. You might look at a couple and go, wow, if he can get married, like you might be single looking at another guy from your own opinion going, wow, if he can get married, there must be something wrong with me, because you look at him as if maybe he's ugly or not a good looking guy. But in the eyes of that woman, obviously he is. So being handsome is subjective, but to say that is men going to the extreme, I think is wrong, and it's an error. But I think it's a way of diminishing calling guys to a higher standard. And I think really that's the angle, is like, we want to define manhood. We don't want you to define manhood, because that's stereotypical. Let us help you define manhood. And we'll see that in some of the other things.
That is exactly my thoughts. And it mentions the man box, like the box that you just kind of put the ideal man in. And you're like, they were actually doing the same thing, right? They were like talking about the two different extremes. Because I'm with you. I think that, us men, we may look at a guy who's, maybe not a pretty boy, but if he has muscles and he's well taken care of, we go, man, he's a stud. That's what we think. But girls, they probably think totally different, right? People just don't stumble into, majority of people don't just stumble into financial, a positive financial state of mind. Like, they just don't. They are disciplined. They make calculated risk. They use it to borrow money to make money, and then they have certain types of revenue. And I definitely wouldn't say that was a bad thing, but it seems like that's what they do. Yeah.
Well, and it's
where it says, where are the second paragraph where it says, where are the portrayals of many men who are complex, kind, communicative, nurturing, the men who are able to put to be both warriors and poets as needed, to able to love deeply and for the long term with multidimensional abilities with a whole host of things.
And I agree. I mean, and I think that's where, and once again, people may have their own kind of perspective. To say that a man can't be necessarily strong or physically fit and nurturing and communicative and kind and complex, to say, and maybe that's what they're saying, and I agree with that statement. They can be both warriors and poets. They can be both warriors and gardeners. There's a saying like it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
Although many gardeners have won wars,
that's right.
Commoners. But I mean, it's kind of confusing in a way. It's like they're trying to ride the fence and get the approval of all people in some ways in some of what they're talking about. But they, I think painting, for instance, men are often seen as incompetent, misogynistic, brutish slobs who only think about sex, beer, sports, and so we would agree with that. Like that TV kind of paints them as that. But on the same side, to say that some of the behaviors that you may fit in those categories is wrong or, a poor representation of men is, once again, your opinion, or their opinion, the editors, but not necessarily the, correct.
That's right.
That's why I would love to know who the editors are to go, you really can't redefine masculinity. And as we go through this, I believe that's what they're trying to do. You can't redefine the roles of a man.
That's right.
You can't, yes, there can be men who, let's take ourselves for an example. I don't have the muscle mass you have. I don't have the height and the size you have. That doesn't mean I'm any less of a man.
No, but you got a beard. And I
have
got
a beard.
Mine looks like continents, bro. It just doesn't look good.
It's just separated.
It's just separated. I got gray hair, bro, and you got awesome brown locks, and so yeah.
But that's it's the actual roles and the duties of a man. That in fulfilling those, but I do think men should do hard things. They should take care of themselves.
That's right.
Should, and so to try to say that's the man box or making that an extreme view is completely incorrect. If that's the only view, then yes, I would agree. If we're only saying men look like this. But at the same side, I think they're almost trying to chip away at some of that. And I think that's what we'll see.
And then that's what you'll see by the end of the article.
You want to jump to 2?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so combating racism, sexism, homophobia, and the man box. All of these seemingly different social issues stem from society's views of masculinity. Just right off the top, that's crazy. Racism comes directly from men being told their role is to provide and protect. Once again, crazy. Most of systemic racism comes white supremacists seeking to gain that they don't even know how to write. Most of systemic racism comes, I think they mean from white supremacists seeking to gain economic advantage. A man is not a man unless he is a financial success. So the old stereotype goes. And racism has long been used as a way to leverage financial success for a small group of people at the top. Sexism comes directly from the idea that women are less than men. It's part economics, part control, part access to sex. Homophobia is a way of marginalizing other men as well as cutting men off from platonic touch, no homo, and emotional intelligence. All of this leads to the man box. The idea that there is one right way to be a man, while marginalizing others who are different than that idealized man. There's a reason oppressed groups are oppressed. We're fighting all of that.
Well, all right. So off the bat, the tone in which I could be completely wrong, feels like some of these people fits in that category, and so they're taking offense to. They're taking it personal. I feel like this number 2, whoever the writers are taking this thing personal. It just seems like it's a personal thing. Like they are really bothered, and they probably would want to put this at number 1, but they decided to put it at number 2, so they didn't want to look as obvious because it comes out the gate, and basically saying racism comes directly from men being told their role is to provide and protect.
Right.
I say, what? Like, that's not even historical. Like, there's no historical evidence in that.
Yeah. No connection.
No connection. So that's just your own 2 cents, because I think that's a personal thing. And if as you read, and those who are listening, you actually listen to what Nick said. When he got into homophobia towards the end of the paragraph, homophobia is a way of marginalizing others men, as well as cutting men off from platonic touch and emotional intelligence. And then it says, all this leads to the man box, the idea that there's one right way to be a man, and while marginalizing others who are different. I don't see it that way at all. I don't see, like, when we talk about being a man is to protect and to take care of your family. I just feel like that's the responsibility. Who you are, like what God has made you, is to take care of your family. And just think about if everybody took care of their responsibility, and we've never talked about not being compassionate or caring or kind, you know, as someone, as men of faith, we know that kindness leads to repentance, and we're called to love one another as we love Jesus. And so that's still what we should do. But we are called to take care of things. And because we take care of our business doesn't mean that we're racist.
Right.
Well, it doesn't mean that we don't think that we're better than any other race or somebody else who has some gender. And so even me saying this, I feel like this will be offensive to many. A gender confusion, which is, which would seem very, that would even sound not like I'm being kind. So I think the writer would find me not kind because I just said like that phrase.
Yeah. Well, there are natural behaviors between men and women.
That's
and
right.
So there's nothing wrong with me telling my son, guys don't act that way. Men don't act that way. If you have a problem with that, that's your opinion.
That's right.
But you don't get to redefine. And that's why I said from the very beginning, the roles of men are changing. The roles of men do not change.
That's right.
So you don't get to redefine that, but that's what they want to do. They want control. They want some kind of power to feel like, oh, we're going to change the view of men from the traditional. But you can't change what's always been. Like in a tribe, when a young man would hit a certain age, and the warriors would take them out to prepare them for manhood. That's been long standing.
Yeah.
Just because man wants to change, mankind, people, in their thinking and their beliefs and things like that, doesn't mean that the ways of man or the roles of men change. And so and I think they've got some false kind of application here, where it says like a man is not a man unless he is a financial success. So the old stereotype goes. No one's saying you got to be a financial success, like making millions of dollars. To provide for your family means I do whatever I got to do to provide for my family. And I believe they're feeding into a stereotype of where, or they're maybe they got a problem with those of us who would say it is a problem to have fatherless homes, because a father should be there not only taking care of their children, providing and protecting their home, and there are statistics that there are different demographics where fatherless homes are on the rise, and there's great people trying to combat that.
That's right.
Even within that same demographic, that racial demographic, we're not okay with that. There may be some people who are okay with that, but that's not racism. And but to say we should have more fathers in homes, more dads need to stay in the fight. They need to stay in the home, stay in the marriage. Of course, there's nothing they can do if the wife, or the, maybe it's just the mom because they didn't get married. She moves on, but that's not racism. But a man can work 3 jobs and provide for his family and not be like a wealthy man, but he provides for his family.
Yep.
So those two, you can't correlate those two things. No one's saying you've got to make a certain amount of money. You know who says that? Go watch. There's tons of reels where they interview women who's saying they want someone that makes it like $250,000, 6 foot tall. It's women who are saying that, not men.
Yeah, and that's a unique thing, because I mean, like some of that's generational. I believe. I mean, just my opinion, my 2 cents, and that's how much it's probably worth. is 2 cents. But me as a professional human for 46 years, I think some of that is generational, to be honest. I think that like you have Gen X and then you have millennials, and I think that whatever the buy-in with the younger people, like in their 20s, some of the reels that I've seen where they have said, I want this, I want that, and so have this unrealistic thing. I think that, you know, there tends to be this narrative that's pushed towards like that you can. I'm trying to say something that's pretty deep, but I'm trying to I'm getting lost in my words. I just think it's a generational thing. I think there was a time and place where people just looked at like, yeah, I just want somebody to be kind and honest and would work. You know, and it was enough. That was enough.
Right.
And then somehow we have now media. We now have, I mean, you could look at even processed foods. I mean, I know this is a totally different tangent, but I think it all kind of correlates where you want everything now, you want everything fast, you want everything how you want it, like as Burger King. And so it ain't on demand, right? Everything is like this. And so you just grow up thinking, you know, everybody's, you know, people use filters on social media. You think this is how it's supposed to look. But back in the day, man, we didn't have, growing up, we didn't have no social media. There was no, we didn't even have that. I mean, the biggest thing is you looked at somebody on TV like Rambo and was like, I want to be like that.
Right.
But
and they're saying that's wrong. They're saying that's a poor stereotype of 100%. A man. In what way?
That's right.
Because he's got muscles, which simply means that he's disciplined, he's consistent, you know, he takes care of himself. He wants, you know, that he will go and protect. If he's the reluctant hero. Go watch the other First Bloods.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't want to go to Russia or to Afghanistan in part 3. Part 2, he didn't want to go. You know, they asked him when he was in the prison camp, and you know he was a reluctant. He never wanted to go enter into the fight. It was when he was drug into it.
That's right.
Rambo 4, when the missionaries, you know, are taken in Burma. And he's drug into it because he goes to rescue them. It wasn't like he was that, you know, misogynistic, you know, brutish, you know, abusive kind of man, violent. That's not him at all. And so, but yeah, a lot of people will point to that and go, "Oh, that's the bad stereotyping of a man."
And I know this is not a man thing. I mean, talk what I'm about to say, but I mean, I spend a lot of time with young people, and I was with a young person about 1.5 years ago, and we're just talking to the gentleman about what they want to be when they grow up, and so I had a 17-year-old kid in front of me, which is have a lot of kids, a lot of teenagers, but 17-year-old really they were saying they want to be they want to be a YouTuber and they thought literally that they're going to make millions of dollars and all this other stuff. And that was like what they wanted to do with their life. And to prepare them, they just play video games and don't have a job though, because I'm just watching YouTubes to gain knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
And so what I have seen just working with young people is I've seen a lot of that where because technology is like, oh, well, I can just get rich or I can get, you know, and then there's the blame game when it doesn't work out how you want it to work out. But it's like, oh yeah, it should be easy. It should be instant. And then, you know, like I know, and a lot of our listeners know, like we see reels and stuff now where it's like, oh, it's never going to be easy. Life is tough. You know, you have to work hard. You have to do this. And you feel like there's like some extremes that were at play, you know? Yeah. So
you want to go ahead and read 3 because we got probably about 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's do 3 and then I'm going to kick it to you. All right, here we go. 3, relationships of every kind. When people think of men and relationships, the first thing they often comes to mind is sexual relationships. But the truth is men are just as interested and committed to a host of other kinds of relationships. Male friendships, fathers and their sons and daughters, sons and the fathers and mothers, and familial relationships of all kinds, long-term committed relationships between loving partners, platonic friendships, working relationships, online relationships, meeting new people, friendships between gay and straight men that go beyond stereotypes, men loving their children with their whole heart and soul and making conscious decisions to love differently than their own parents. All of those relationships are part of the psyche of today's man, and all are relationships that should be celebrated by our society and culture. After all, a loving relationship with any other human being is a sign of strength. What do you think about that?
I don't largely disagree with that.
Yeah.
If there is a stereotype that men are not interested in relationships, now once again, we should not necessarily have the time to just go take hours and do coffee dates and get tea and crumpets and whatever else. Like, we work. We should be working. We should be the one that is providing for our families. I'm not saying women cannot be in the workplace and can't do that. That's totally up to you. That's your choice. But if you're saying that men are not interested in relationships because we really don't have the time and the capacity to invest in them on a largely like some ladies can do, yes, in that way. But relationships are going to look different between men and women and how they approach their relationships and friendships. So yeah, I mean, I've never seen anyone saying that men don't care about relationships. If anything, and they'll get into some of the other stuff. It mentioned like between I think it was the gay and was it bi?
Meeting new people or friendships between gay and straight men that go beyond stereotypes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And so, I would say no one's saying that people can't have a relationship. I think what we will get into later on in some of the topics where it talks about, some people that it sounds like with some of these agendas will say men are homophobic if they're not interested in dating a man transitioning into what they would say is a woman, and that you should be open to that. At that point, no, not at all.
Yep.
And so it depends on what they define as relationships. Platonic friendship, absolutely. Father, son, grandfather, yes, we do care about those relationships. They're very important to us. I love my family. I love my not only my immediate family, my children and my wife. I love my extended family, getting together at the holidays. I am a very family-centered person. And I think that's exactly why men do have a specific role and duty. Like, I'm going to do anything I can for my family. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree largely with what they're saying. I'm not sure what point they're trying to get at, though.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. The thing, man, I think if you put, but the truth is men are just as interested and committed to a host of other kinds of relationships. And I would say like, I'm like you, like I love my family. I love my friends. I love meeting new people, love joking around, hanging out and all that. But when it comes to work relationships, I don't crave, just between you, to have a female buddy at my job. Like, I don't crave that. I don't have that. I don't go, man, I've got to have a buddy, a female buddy. I just don't. I don't do that. I don't think I necessarily crave to have those relationships. I crave for community.
Yeah.
But I don't crave any specific, like some of the things that they're pointing out specifically. I don't crave. I don't think most guys crave that.
No.
I think that if you're a dude, and I would put this is how. Think about when you're a teenager. You're a dude, and you wanted to hang out with a girl and have a girl that was like you're gonna be your friend. Is only because you like them.
Yeah.
That you want to get close to them and get out of the friend zone, so you can date them. Or when they break up, you're the break the glass in case there's an emergency. That you're there going, hey, it's going to be okay. I'm here for you.
Right.
Notice now that I'm here and they're not here. Right. That type of thing. I don't think that we, even as a teenagers, we ever was like, man, I can't wait to have some buddies that are females.
Right.
But I would say at large. But by saying that, we could be stereotypes.
And I'll say straight up. I'm not afraid to say it, guys, because this is our podcast. We can say what we want. We can have our own opinion, just like these people can write their article. If you're a married guy, you don't have a best friend that's a woman. You may have friendships that are within, like with other couples, somebody that might be considered an acquaintance or a friend, but not somebody like you and I are going to hang out.
Yeah.
We have even known, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but we've known some mutual friends who have had those kind of friendships, where it's like they're hanging out with a woman apart from their wife because that's their friend, and it never goes well and it never ends 100%. Well. And so, guys, you can't do that.
That's right.
It's and if you are feeling those like friendship feelings, like you would think, it's like Shane says, there's more to that, and you need to protect yourself because it never leads to a healthy thing. My wife is not going to have a very close male friend. You can call me misogynistic if you want, but I know guys, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, I've told guys, even making comments on my wife's photos, don't do it again. It's inappropriate. She's married. It ain't going to happen. And I'm not playing that game. So, yeah, guys, we're talking to guys as the Male Cartel. Don't mess around with other women if you're married.
Yep.
You don't need another female friend.
That's right.
You're not Solomon. He was wise but foolish. Thinking he could have 700 wives and 300 concubines or whatever it was.
And you're not wrong for that too. Like I think you're taking care of your responsibility, and you are, as what this article said, provide and protect. Right? It's a not a good thing. It is a good thing, and to protect is protecting you, and to protect your family. And if you're in a marriage, it's definitely to protect your marriage. And that is, you need to be the first line of defense in that, and need to be a sheepdog watching at all times. And and to be honest, in comparison to my wife, there's no one else that can stand even toe to toe with her that I would need to be friends with. I got everything I need in her, and that's right.
That's it. So
boom, yeah.
Protect yourself. Guardrails.
That's it, dude. Be
wise.
Well, hopefully this has been beneficial for you. And we'll do some more from this article.
Yeah, there's 12 total. We covered 3, so
yeah,
we'll tackle some more.
That's right. We'll flesh it all out. But hopefully you've learned something, and at least start thinking in your head what kind of man you are. I know just us who were discussing it and reading it, even before we started the podcast, and even now, is starting to think through, like, what kind of man am I? What kind of man am I? Would I be viewed as being not so like politically correct or whatever? But we need to know who we are, and protecting and providing for your family. That is a good place to start.
Yeah, and you young guys, it's important to know your identity as a man, your role as a man, your duty as a man, those things, because these articles are really aimed at you and trying to sway a new generation. And so find you some older men to learn from, to grow from, a great mentor, and that will lead you well, and it will not disappoint you.
That's right. All right. Well, that's all we have for you. And like we always say, get 1% better. Anything else you want to say?
Just like, subscribe,
that's right,
share. We love to hear the feedback in the comments. Thank you for listening. Get 1% better every day. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Peace.
Thank you for joining the Male Cartel podcast. Be sure to subscribe and share to help other men join the cartel. You can also keep up with us on social media and at malecartel.com.